lucky one.
We've talked a lot on this show about how music influences brewers. And one of the things I've found that all of my favorite bands have in common is that they formed as bands because they wanted to make music that they weren't hearing anyone else make. And it seems like with you guys, I know we keep making the Beatles references and we're having fun with that, but did you kind of have the mindset that you were making the kind of show that you yourself would watch? Because no one else was making a show like Brewing TV.
I think there was sorry, it's your turn, Chip.
No, well, I was just going to say, I feel like we kind of did, because I honestly don't think we would have gotten through like rounds of editing if it had bored us. That was the first kind of layer of content, was like, would I want to watch this? Was that funny? You know, the inside jokes start to kind of bloom across episodes, and you're like, oh, this is actually, okay, people that are keeping up with this in like serial fashion and it showed, like, people would get really antsy if every other Friday at 11 a.m. Central, if the episode had not posted, they would go to like Northern Brewers social and be like, give us the episode. I don't know if that's a full-on answer to the question. Dawson, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, again, that's the corollary from real life back in those days. 10,000 breweries ago and 10 years or whatever I said.
I love that we're saying back in those days. We're talking about 11 years ago. And I also love, Mike, that every time you mention breweries, thousands more are added. So now it's like, by the time this interview is done, it'll be 30,000 breweries. And I think you are absolutely right about how many different breweries are blowing up all over the place. Can we get into that about like how much things have changed, even though it's 11 years ago or however long it was that Brewing TV was, I say on the air, on the internet. How much stuff has changed in that short amount of time?
This was the anecdote I was going to share, is like 10 years ago, I remember being at National Homebrewers Conference and having a pizza beer and being like, wow, that's the only place I could get a beer like this. How crazy is that? And now I'm sure I could go find a pizza beer in cans somewhere.
Right.
There's Buffalo Wing chicken beer. Time was not that long ago. If you wanted a dry hopped sour beer with 2 pounds of fruit per gallon, you would have had to make it yourself. And I can walk 2 blocks and face a bewildering array of choices for exactly that.
Does that make it like harder for home brewers that like everything's already available? Because it seems like the reason to get into it is to make something that wouldn't be available. Does that make sense? Like one of the things I don't understand about home brewers is you have 1 billion breweries that are making great beer.
You only get one, Dave.
What?
Make it count. You only get one thing you don't understand.
This is it. And I'm telling
we get insulted.
Chip, this is it. No. I'm not trying to insult you. What I love about homebrewers when we have them on the show is, I want to say temerity, but that's the wrong word. Like, when I drink beer, I think this beer is terrific. Home brewers have it in them to go, you know what, I think I can make something a little bit better than this. And the thing is, more often than not, they're right. To have infinite choices and to be able to say, that's not enough. I admire that. What do you guys think about the idea of like home brewers thinking the world is not enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if you look back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, when Brewing TV, the concept that you couldn't get a beer like Pliny or something like Pliny in your community was a reality, right? Like, I live in a town of 20,000 people. There's no way I'm going to get these beers in my community. So the only way I'm going to get these is to make them myself. And it was awesome. It was an amazing time, to be honest. And then those people bloomed into craft breweries. And now, from the commercial standpoint, yeah, you can get craft beer anywhere, right? And it's ubiquitous. And that's another fantastic thing. I think what's shifted is that the desire to brew is less about now, I can make a better version of this, or I can't access it in my community. It's more just about the purity of like, I really enjoy making things on my own, you know, and that's even, to me, that's an even better impetus to, I just like making stuff, you know, that's why I did it. It wasn't because I thought I could make better beer. I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to say that I, as a home brewer, could make a better beer than a commercial brewer. Hands down, they will always be able to make a better beer than me, unquestionably. But does that beer taste better to me, the one I made myself, because I made it? Hell yeah, it does.
Does this analogy, Jake, make any sense? I suppose I could pay for a service to mow my lawn. But when I mow my lawn and I get it just the way I like it, there's something to that. Is that's what pushes home brewers?
Absolutely. That sense of satisfaction. It's why so many homebrewers are also like, they program their own software, they build their own computers.
Right.
You know, they build out, you know, their own, you know, do all their own home renovation projects.
Okay, I get it now. I think I get home brewing. Guys, I think I get home brewing now.
I mean,
There you go.
You changed your own light bulbs already.
I can't thank you enough for the time you've given us this afternoon. I can't thank you enough for making shows like Brewed possible. You know, what is it? I think Sir Isaac Newton said, if I've seen further than anyone else, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I feel that way about you three. I'm not even sure it's Sir Isaac Newton, but my point is, you know, you got people interested in this, and there's so much great beer that we're all able to enjoy because people got inspired watching your show. So I wanted to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your time and your talents. Jake, Chip, Mike, Brewing TV, thanks so much for your time and sharing your story, and cheers, gentlemen. Thanks so much.
All for brew.
Brew for all. We were walking down the street in San Diego, just going to the beach in between sessions at another instance of the National Homebrew Conference years ago, and some dude screeched to a halt on a motorbike. And he was like, "Oh, Brewing TV, right?" And we're like, "Yeah. Are you in town for the conference?" He's like, "No, I just recognized you."
yeah.